This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1270, Destructive Family Legacies, Understanding the Root of Self-Worth Issues, by Dr. Susan Chanderbhan of ChandPsych.com. Hello, everybody, and happy middle of the week. I am Greg Audino, your host and narrator, and the post I've got for you today is a real doozy, really important post from Dr. Susan Chanderbhan. We've got a really dense work about self-worth and the questions we can ask ourselves to identify how ours was developed and how it can be improved upon if necessary. So listen close, we're going to jump right into this post and start optimizing your life. Destructive Family Legacies, Understanding the Root of Self-Worth Issues, by Dr. Susan Chanderbhan of ChandPsych.com. The building blocks of who we are and what we think of ourselves as people are formed during childhood. If you have a parent or parents who negatively shape the way you think about yourself, it can lead to continuing struggles. Unfortunately, these challenges often make it easy to view yourself in a negative light. There are several ways your family and your upbringing can impact the value you place on yourself or your self-worth. Sometimes, problems can occur because family members put you down, or perhaps you had an absent or emotionally distant parent and the lack of guidance and affection impacted you more than you recognize or are emotionally ready to admit. Whatever the family situation, if you sense that your poor self-image is its destructive legacy, it's important to take action. Did your parenting relationship affect you negatively? It's not always easy to recognize whether our relationship with our parents has affected us negatively. The thought of examining those relationships may make us uneasy, defensive, or even protective of our parents. This can be true whether you have regular contact with your parents or not. But to get to what's bothering you, it's important to try to recognize things that trigger you today, and then think about how your past may have an impact on those triggers. For example, did you have a parent who constantly put you down? Did they tell you that you weren't good enough? Do you tend to feel that way about yourself today? Every time you hit a roadblock or failure in your relationships or your career, does it feel like something is wrong with you? Do you take every failure as a verdict on how worthy or good you are? Your self-worth could be a reflection of how you grew up. You might focus on current life circumstances as the key to your self-worth issues. It may seem easier to tell yourself you just weren't good enough for a certain job, or that a partner broke up with you because you didn't do this or that thing. But if you find you beat yourself up, isolate, or find it very difficult to bounce back when you encounter setbacks, it may be that these experiences are pushing some painful buttons from your childhood. Alternatively, you may have had a parent who was completely invalidating or neglectful. They may have even been abusive. Do you find yourself gravitating towards relationships like this in your life today? If so, it could be because this kind of behavior and treatment feels normal or predictable to you, even if it's not right or healthy. Often we choose the negative relationships we do in adulthood because they feel familiar to us. For instance, a woman may choose a distant, belittling partner because he feels similar to her experiences in her relationship with her father. It's comfortable, and it gives her another chance to fix it. To paraphrase an old saying, if at first we couldn't succeed in securing love from our key attachment figures, we try and try again with copies of them in adulthood. Recognizing, reflecting, and building self-worth. Again, it can be difficult to step into the past and really recognize how your parents' behavior affects you today. We often think we outgrow our pasts or get over such influential connections just by moving away. But the truth is, the sooner you're able to reflect on, process, and make key mental and emotional connections, the more productive your self-esteem work will be. Take the time to step back and reflect on a situation when your self-worth is low. Was it the present situation that triggered it, or something more? Become aware of your automatic thoughts and the feelings in your body. Where have you felt this way before? What memories come to mind? Family issues can have a lasting and in some cases scarring impact on how we view ourselves. If your self-worth was crushed or manipulated from an early age, you may find you have trouble standing up for yourself now. Understanding your responses and triggers, as well as how to relate in an empowered way, is the first step. However, since family matters can be so sensitive, it's normal to feel as though you can't make these changes alone. In many cases, therapy can help you on your journey. It will likely take time with supportive people and an experienced therapist to rebuild your self-worth. This starts with identifying your triggers and diving into what might be the origins of your low self-worth. Again, it's not an easy path to boost your self-worth, but it is possible to move through these challenges and overcome painful family legacies. You just listened to the post titled, Destructive Family Legacies, Understanding the Root of Self-Worth Issues, by Dr. Susan Chanderbhan of ChandPsych.com. And such a massively important read from Dr. Susan today. I absolutely loved this one, right up my alley. And while it's definitely a read that can help you rebuild the relationship you have with yourself, I would also encourage you to think about the way you may be a part of this in another person's life. So if you have children or if you're around children, are any lighthearted jokes you're making towards them perhaps having a larger impact than you think they might be? Or for fellow adults, do you ever maybe chime in on jokes at their expense that they've been hearing their whole lives? Take this opportunity to reflect on the role you're playing, and if it might be wise to either change your approach or let a loved one know that any teasing is in jest and that you actually look up to them and admire them for things of much higher importance. Sometimes, even if others are laughing along, this is to fit in and try to take something lightly, even if it has become bothersome beneath the surface. But that will do it for today, everyone. I hope this post and my commentary has inspired you to look a layer deeper when it comes to your own self-worth and the self-worth of those around you. It's time to get out of here, but be sure to come on back tomorrow where I will have a parenting post for you, courtesy of Crystal Kargas. That's where your optimal life awaits.